Hey everyone. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can host your own free Minecraft servers using this really cool software called MCSS. Today I'm going to be going over vanilla, paper, forge, and fabric servers, and I'm going to be using the chapters feature on YouTube so you can just skip ahead to whatever type of server you're wanting to host. And a little disclaimer, this tutorial assumes that you know how to port forward. If you don't know, then I'll put a link to a tutorial in the description. But if you're just wanting to run a LAN server for your family on the same network, then you don't need to worry about port forwarding. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the video. So this first part will be universal for all the types of servers. We're just going to be going over how to install and download MCSS. It's very simple. It'll only take you about a minute. You're going to want to go to the link in the description below. That'll take you to the minecraftserversoft.com website. You just click download MCSS right here, right on the front page. It'll take you to the zip file here. Once you have that downloaded, you're just going to go ahead and extract it. Just like that. In the extracted folder, you go ahead and just click on the MCSS application. Once you load up, it will just look like this, and you can go ahead and start adding your first servers. So to get started with vanilla server, we're going to go ahead and add a server. You'll see vanilla right here, so we'll go ahead and create new. To get your vanilla file, you'll go ahead and click on where do I get the file. That'll bring you to this page, sourcing a server file. You'll just scroll down to vanilla latest. You'll click on this page right here, bring you to the download the Minecraft Java Edition server, and right here download Minecraft server 1.21.5 jar. That will be the latest version. So once you have that downloaded, you go and select file to desktop, vanilla, open. Once you have that in, you'll name it whatever you want. So we'll just name it vanilla for now. You go ahead and apply some RAM to it, so you can do gigabyte. For vanilla servers, I would put maybe around 4 or 5. You don't really need that much RAM unless you're running mods or plugins. So we'll just go ahead and put 4 gigabytes for right now. If we need more, we can always update it. You'll confirm your port here. If you're running multiple servers on the same computer, you'll need a different port for each. You can add a description if you want. I normally just leave it blank, but you can put whatever you want there. And make sure that you auto check the accept the Minecraft EULA. And then you'll just go and create server. That'll bring you into this page. The first thing you'll want to do is just press start and see if it will start by itself. If not, then we'll need to go in and change our Java settings. So we're going to press start. It'll download all the files for it. And it looks like it already completed. So now, if that didn't work, what you would want to do is you'll go over here to this little settings bar, go to advanced, and you'll need to select your own Java path here. And that's where you would select your Java path if it gives you a Java error. Now some of the things that you can change with this, you can go over to your dashboard console. Here's your settings. This is where you'll change your server settings. So if you want to spawn monsters, NPCs, allow flight or not, you'll change your game mode here and your difficulty. Here's where you can change your view distance. With vanilla, you can really put this up to over 20 and it'll be fine. You can keep scrolling down. You could add server resource pack files. This is where you'll change your world details. And then if you wanted an online mode or not. And that's pretty much it for creating a vanilla server. Now let's go ahead and get in game and see if it works. Okay, so we've got Minecraft booted up here. So now we'll just go ahead and direct connect. If you're on your own server, your own computer, you can just type in localhost. If you're on wanting to give the IP to someone else, you can type in what's my IP and give them that IP. So you just do localhost here. And as you can see, we're in on our vanilla Minecraft server. So creating the vanilla server is pretty simple. There's a couple more things that I'd like to show you just of an extra few settings. If you go over to this settings bar when the server is turned off, you can adjust this. You can set a custom icon if you want or change the name. This is where you'll change how much RAM you have if you need to add more. If you go to advanced, this is where you'll change the Java path settings like I said. So all these different types of Javas. Different versions will require different types. And you can change your startup line if you need to here. And if you need to update your server, this is where you'll put the new vanilla jar as well. Okay, now let's say that you like the vanilla feel and you don't really want mods, but you would like a couple extra, maybe a couple plugins, a couple of little things that change the game a little bit, but aren't quite as extreme as mods. For that, paper servers are really great. So to install a paper server, we'll just go over to New Server, go to Paper here, and we'll go to Where do I get this file? That'll bring you over to the Sourcing a Server File webpage for MCSS. We'll just scroll down to Paper here. That'll take us to the Paper website, and we'll just download the latest version. Once we have that downloaded, it'll look like a jar here. We'll go ahead and just move it in. This is where you will enter in a name. So we'll just name it Paper for now. We'll go ahead and add RAM. So for a paper server, if you're just having it just vanilla with no plugins, you can probably do around 4 or 5. If you're doing a lot of plugins, maybe bump it up to 5 or 6. So we'll just put it in 5, middle ground for now. If we need more, we can always update it. This is where you'll change your port as well. If you're having multiple servers on the same port, it will give you this reminder that it's already being used, but we're not going to be running the vanilla server right now. We're just going to be running this one, so we can just leave it as it is. And make sure that you accept the Minecraft EULA as well. So we'll go ahead and create. So now that it's made, we'll go ahead and try to run it. It will start downloading all these files here. And it looks like it completed successfully. So we can go ahead and look over the settings for the paper servers. So if we go to settings here, this is where you'll update any of your server properties, whether you want to spawn monsters or not, hardcore world, allow PvP, allow flight. This is where you'll change your difficulty as well, your game mode, and your view distance. With paper servers, they run really well, so you could probably bump it up to near 20 if you have a decent computer. This is where you can add server resource packs. If you want to enable command blocks or not, this is where you'll change your world details. So if you want to make it super flat, amplified, or just leave it default. This is where you can change if you want online mode or not, and then a whitelist or not. Okay, so now that the server is up and running, let's go ahead and try to get into it in our game. So with paper servers, all you'll need to do is load up your vanilla client. Go to Direct Connect. If it's your computer, you'll just type in localhost. If you're giving this IP to someone else, you'll go to What's My IP on Google, and you'll give them that IP instead. We'll just go ahead and join the server. As you can see, we're in our paper server here. But now the cool thing about paper servers is we can actually go ahead and use plugins as well. So to install some plugins, we'll go ahead and kill the server. Go over to hanger.papermc.io. This is where you'll go ahead and get your server plugins. So to start off, let's just go ahead and try to install Chunky. This is a really nice plugin that lets you install or lets you generate chunks to help with server lag. So we'll just go ahead and download that, and I've already downloaded it for us here. We can go over to the plugins tab here, open folder, and then we'll just drag in Chunky right into that. Once that's in there, you can go back to the console, press start. You can see it initialized one plugin, Chunky. And it's that simple to install plugins. And so now if you get back in Minecraft, you'll have the Chunky plugin installed. And it works the same way with any other plugin. So now that we got our paper server running, There's a couple other things I'd like to show you. Just over here on this settings bar, we can go over, and this will be some other settings for your server. This is where you go ahead and change your name if you want to. You can upload a custom icon. This is how you're going to change your RAM. If you install a bunch of plugins, you might need to up your RAM a little bit. This is where you'll change your server port if you decide to install more servers on this computer. If you go over to advanced, if you're getting Java errors, this is where you'll need to change your Java path. See all the different versions there. You change your startup line here. Most of the times you can just leave this how it is, but if you get some errors, maybe you need to tweak with it. And then if you need to update your server, this is where you're going to put in the new jar as well. But let's say that you've had enough of vanilla feel and maybe you want to have some mods now. So first we're going to try to install a Forge server. Forge and Fabric are both great mod loaders. Forge has been around a lot longer, so it has a lot more mods to choose from, so that's what we're going to go for first. We'll go to New Server, over to Forge. Where do I get this file? That'll bring up the Sourcing a Server file webpage. Just go down to Forge Installer. Go up to right here, Downloads for Forge. 1.21.4 does not have many mods, so you'll want to go down to 1.21.1. That is the version that has the most compatibility right now. Just download the installer here, and once you get that, it'll look like this. Just Forge Installer. Go ahead and drag that in. It says Forge Installer detected. This is where you'll add a name to your server, so we'll just name it Forge for right now. And your RAM here. Forge requires quite a bit more RAM than a vanilla or paper server do. I would like to start with around 6 gigabytes to start with. Depending on how big your mod pack is, that may need to go up to 8 or maybe 10 even. So start around 6 and then go from there. This is where you change your port. If you're running multiple servers on the same computer, you'll need a different port for each of them as this reminder pops up. We're not running those right now, so we're just going to be running this one, so we can just leave that as it is. You're going to add a description if you like, and make sure that you go ahead and accept the Minecraft EULA. Go ahead and create server. It's going to go ahead and run the Forge installer and download all the files. Okay, now that it's done installing the files, we can go ahead and try starting it up. Press the start button, and as you can see here, we need to go ahead and adjust the jar file. So we'll go ahead and access our server. So when it installs Forge, it changes the name of this. So this is the file that you want to use, the forge.1.21. It won't not be the Forge installer. We'll go ahead and right click on that, and we'll just go to rename and then copy that name. Go over to the right side at the startup at the settings. Go to advanced, and in the startup line here, we're just going to remove this and paste in our jar name. So it'll look just like this. Save that and try launching it again. And as you can see, this time it's installing all the files correctly. So it looks like it completed successfully, but of course Forge is nothing without mods, so we'll go ahead and stop the server. So to install mods on our server, we'll go ahead and just click on the folder button here to access our server files. Go down to the mods folder. To find mods, you'll want to go to a site like CurseForge. You can go ahead and filter by mod loader, so as you can see here, we're filtering by Forge. Let's go ahead and install Just Enough Items. That's a good mod that most people will want just by itself. So we'll go to Just Enough Items here, go ahead and download, swap it to 1.21.1, and mod loader to Forge. That'll pop up the 1.21.1 Forge folder, and we'll just download that file. Once we have that downloaded, it'll just give us a jar file, and all we have to do is move it into our mods folder, and we can start up the server. As we see, it loaded successfully. So let's get into the game and check it out. Okay, now that we're in game, I just loaded up a Forge installation with just JEI installed. We can go to Direct Connect. If it's on your computer, you'll want to put in localhost. If you're giving this server to someone else to join, you'll go to what's my IP on Google and you'll give them that IP. But we'll go ahead and join the server. As you can see, we're in on our Forge server here now. And if we go to our inventory, we can see that we have JEI installed. So now that we've got the server installed, there's a couple other things that you can do to adjust the settings. If we go over here to settings, this is where you'll change your server properties file. Change all these options here. You can change your difficulty and your game mode. View distance. If you only have a couple mods, you can probably bump this up near 20. If you have larger packs, I'd recommend keeping it lower, near 10, just to make it easier on the server and reduce lag. This is where you'll change your world type and your world name. Here's where you can change if you want online mode or offline mode, and any other whitelist settings like that. Other settings are over here on this little dial over here. This is where you'll change your server name. You can upload an icon. Here's where you'll change your RAM if you need to add more RAM, and your server port. If you go to advanced, if you're having Java issues, this is where you'll adjust your Java path settings. And if you need to change your startup line like we did in the beginning, this is where you'll change that as well. And if you need to update your server, this is where you'll put the new folder, the new server jar. But let's say that you don't want to go through the hassle of picking out all these mods yourself. You can actually just upload a already made mod pack, and so that's what we're going to try now. To do that, you'll go back to CurseForge, just go to mod packs. Let's go to one of the most popular ones, is this Pixelmon. Really easy, you'll just scroll down. Over on the side, you'll find Minecraft 1.16 server packs. This Pixelmon is still only in 1.16 on release. The beta is out for 1.20, but it's I'd recommend you stick to 1.16 right now until the full release is out. And we'll just pick out the latest release for that. So you'll click on that, just go to download, and it will download your server files. So once you get your server files downloaded, it'll look like this server pack here. We'll go ahead and just extract it. So then we have this server pack installation here with a bunch of random files. But what we can do, we go over to import server up here at the top left. And then we'll import a server. We'll choose what type. It's a Forge type, so we'll choose Forge. Select server to import. Go to our desktop. We'll find wherever we put it. So it's in Forge here. Make sure you go to the extracted one. And once you're in the extracted folder, we'll go ahead and just click on this install.bat. You can choose any .bat that you want, but this one needs the install one to install the dependencies, so we'll just click on that one. This is where you'll change your name, so we'll just set it to Pixelmon for right now. For RAM, for Pixelmon, I do at least 6. I'm going to do around 8 just to get it going faster. Do around 6 to 8 should be fine with Pixelmon. Here's where you change your port and everything, of course. Set launch options, you'll need to click on that. We'll go to with a bat file and then install.bat. And we'll do save. And then we'll do import server. And now that it's done importing, we'll go ahead and try to start it up. And we'll go ahead and install all the required files. Okay, so it's done installing the files now, as you can see here. So now we'll go ahead and go over to our settings on the right. Go to advanced, use the bat file. We'll go ahead and change that to server start.bat. Press the validate button and click save. Save again. And we'll try starting it up. As you can see, it's having some errors here. Those are Java errors, so we'll need to go over to our settings, advanced, Java path picker. We'll try Java 17. It will give you a new bat file. You save. See if Java 17 works, and it does not. So we'll go ahead and try Java 18, or Java 8, I'm sorry. Give you a new bat file, save. And that one works. And so then it pops up this error, you need to agree to the EULA. Since you're importing a server, it cannot auto agree to the EULA, so you'll have to do it yourself. So you'll go ahead and go over to the files here, EULA right here, and change that to true. Save, exit, and start it back up. And as you can see, it is successfully started. So now we have a Pixelmon server. A couple things you can change. You can still change the settings, same with the regular Forge server. You have all these options here. With Pixelmon, you'll want to enable flight because of the flying Pokemon. If you don't have that enabled, it will kick you whenever you go and try to fly something. With Pixelmon, I would keep the view distance down to 10 just to make sure it runs good. If you have a really good computer, you might be able to bump it up a little bit, but for a baseline, just keep it around 10. And then you have the same settings as well with updating and whatnot. The other option you have of mod loaders is Fabric. It is more optimized than Forge, I would say, but the selection of mods currently is still smaller. It still has hundreds of thousands of mods, but it's still not quite there as Forge yet. But if you want to run Fabric, if you're maybe having trouble running Forge, you could give that a try. So we're going to go ahead and new server. We'll go over to Fabric here. Where do I get the file? That'll bring up the sourcing a server file webpage on MCSS. We'll go down to Fabric Installer here. And you'll select your version here. Same with Forge. You'll want to do 1.21.1 right now. The newer versions do not have as much compatibility as 1.21.1, so we're just going to go ahead and use that. Leave the rest the same, and you can download the jar here. Once you have that downloaded, we go ahead and take the Fabric server jar, move it in. You can see it says Fabric Installer Detected. We can go ahead and give it a name. So we're just going to call it Fabric for right now. We'll change our RAM. With Fabric servers, they usually run better than Forge, depending on how many mods you have still. But for just a base Fabric server, we can probably do around 5 gigabytes of RAM, and that would be plenty. Here's where you change your port if you're running multiple servers. As you can see, it gives us a reminder that it's already being used, but we're not going to be using these other servers. We're just going to be using this one, so we can just leave it how it is. We go ahead and accept the Minecraft EULA, of course, and create server. And we'll go ahead and run the Fabric installer and get the required files. And once it's done, we'll go over to Start. And you can see that it's having a issue accessing the jar file. So what we're going to want to do, click on the File Explorer. We can see that it's called Fabric_installer. So what we'll need to do is go over to our settings bar on the right side, go to Advanced. In the startup line, go and take out this server type name.jar. Leave the .jar, but take out the server type .name. And we'll just want to put in Fabric_installer and save, and then try running it again. And now it's able to download all the files. We can see that it successfully started. But if you're running Fabric, you'll probably want some mods. So to install mods, all you got to do, go over to the folder selection over here. Go down to the mods folder here. To find mods, Fabric, you can use either CurseForge or ModRinth. I'm going to be using CurseForge today. Let's go ahead and install the Just Enough Items mod. It's a good standalone mod, even if you're not wanting too many others. So let's click on that. We'll go ahead and click and download. Swap it to 1.21.1 and swap the mod loader to Fabric. And that'll go ahead and give us the correct file. So we'll just download it, and it will download automatically. Once you have the JEI jar here, we'll go ahead and just drag it into the mods folder. Close that out. Stop the server. And go ahead and start it up. And it says that we installed some uncompatible mods, so we're going to need to go ahead and get the fabric.api mod. So let's go ahead and get that real quick. So if we go over to mods, we can find fabric.api right here. Download 1.21.1 for Fabric, and that'll download the file. Okay. And once that file downloads, we can open up our server files here again, and we'll just drag the Fabric API over into our mods folder as well. And now we can go ahead and start it up. And as you can see, now it's successfully started. So let's go ahead and get in game and see if it works. Okay, so now that we're in game, we can go ahead and test out our server. This is just a base Fabric installation with only JEI installed. So we'll go ahead and go to Direct Connect. If this is your computer, you want to put in localhost. If you're giving it to someone else to join, go to What's My IP on Google, and you'll give them that IP. So we'll just go ahead and join the server. And as you can see, we're in on our Fabric server here. And if we go to our inventory, we can see over on the right that JEI did install correctly. Okay, now that we got our server installed, there's a couple other things you can do to adjust it. If you go over to the settings button here, this is where you change your server properties. You can adjust flight if you want that enabled, your difficulty, game mode, your view distance. Fabric usually runs pretty well, so you can do up to maybe 20 if you're running only a couple mods. If you're running larger packs, keep it around 10, just to keep lag down. This is where you put in your world settings, whether you want a different type or not. Here's where you change online mode or offline mode, and then your other whitelist settings as well. And then if you go over to the settings bar over on the side, this is where you can change your server name. If you need to add more RAM, this is where you'll change that, and your server port. Advanced, if you need to adjust your startup line for whatever reason, this is where you'll do that. And then if you need to update your server, this is where you'll put in the new jar to update it. And that's basically the tutorial. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them as fast as I can. If you'd like to see this same thing with a different type of server, go ahead and put that in the comments as well, and I'll try to make a video for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and have fun.